Former President Trump's once acting chief of staff, Mick Mulvaney, testified before the January 6th committee on Thursday. Mulvaney was fired by Trump in 2020, months before the riot. Mulvaney then resigned from his next job as special envoy to Northern Ireland after the attack on the Capitol took place. He joined CBS News as a contributor earlier this year. Now, for more on Mulvaney's testimony and January 6th, I want to bring in CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand. Natalie, it's great to see you. In an interview with The Takeout last week, Mick Mulvaney discussed his time working for the Trump administration and the January 6 hearings. We want to play a little bit of what he said then.
I absolutely believe he's lost the election. That evidence is real. That in terms of his role in the January 6 riots, I want to know more. I want to know what Steve Bannon was doing. I want to know who Mark Meadows was talking to. I want to know what the president knew. And I think that's a fair question to ask.
Now, on Thursday, Mulvaney said he told the committee that he questioned who was talking to Trump on January 6. He also called the questions from the committee themselves fair and professional, but also one-sided. So what else did we learn from this testimony?
Ben, good to be with you. And he's told CBS, including in that interview with The Takeout, that he doesn't agree with the structure of the committee, but he also said he's paying close attention to the testimony, particularly after Cassidy Hutchinson testified. She, of course, is the aide to former Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, who was in the White House that day. He called her testimony a game changer. So it's interesting that we see him testifying before the January 6th committee Thursday, and he does offer a unique insight into how the Trump White House operated, even though he was not there on January 6th. And he's talked to CBS News about what he describes as kind of a chorus approach of different individuals from perhaps different backgrounds, different takes, advising former President Trump on various matters. Those individuals could be family members, business associates, cabinet members. And he also mentioned to the committee today, according to reporting from our Rebecca Kaplan, that Fox News commentator Sean Hannity would advise the president. And Rebecca reports that the committee members were interested in that piece of information, learning more about how the Trump White House operated in that capacity. But again, what we know is he did not have close contact with the White House that day. In fact, he says he tried to call the White House and did not get a response. And he says he told Rebecca today that he even tried to text Mark Meadows and essentially said, "How can I help here?"
Interesting. All right. So where does this all go from here? What are the next steps for the January 6th committee?
Well, we know that they are far from done with their investigation. Of course, they'll return after August recess in September, even though their work continues now behind the scenes. And they're trying to determine whether we're going to have more hearings in September. They haven't yet made that decision. Chair Benny Thompson spoke to reporters today and said that they will be working on determining whether they will have more hearings in the near future, and also trying to put together all the information that they've gleaned so far. Congressman Adam Kinzinger, one of the two Republicans on the committee, who was just on CBS's Red and Blue, said he still has more questions than answers at this point. And he's also told CBS that new individuals come to the committee almost daily and are willing to now go on the record. So they will continue along with their work. We do not have a timeline of when their final report will be released, and we know that there's various threads to continue to follow, including the Secret Service angle, those missing text messages. And Chair Thompson also confirmed today that they are in discussions with former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo for a possible interview with him, as they also focus on former cabinet members, Ben.
All right. Sounds like a lot more to come. Natalie Brand, thank you so much.